Ta-da! So glad you're here. Welcome everybody. We're sporting some new changes this evening. How is everybody doing? Woohoo! We have a new look this evening. I've been doing some changing on our platform for the lives. So I'm hoping that tonight you can see everyone's pictures and you can read everyone's post that they submitted to the announcement today, throughout the day. So yes. Oh, hold on one second. I thought I turned off the sound on that. So yes, on the side of the screen, is it that way? Yeah, that way. You'll be able to see what we're going to do tonight, what we're going to talk about. We have 16 show and tells. We have 5 topics, and we have a fun little challenge for this week. Connie, I hope you buckle down, grab your milk and your bread for your ice storm. Harlan said something about snow in the next few days here, but it has been really warm here in Virginia. We're on the East Coast in Williamsburg, and in the last few days it's been 60s and 70s. But usually, from what I remember, that's usually what happens before we get hammered with a big storm. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll watch the weather, but I hope you stay safe. Stay home since you can. Oh, yeah. Well, Barbara just said Virginia is supposed to be getting a wintry mix on Saturday. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad y'all are here. I hope you're ready for some stuff, sharing, all kinds of stuff. I went today. We have 1 minute before we start. So, my root canal got rescheduled. My dentist was sick. So, yay. Although I was kind of just wanting to get it over with. Now it's scheduled for the 24th. She wanted to do it next Tuesday, and I said, why? Can we not pick a Tuesday? Does he do it on any other day besides Tuesday? And so we scheduled it for the next Friday. So hopefully this tooth will behave. Off and on, I have a little toothache. But hopefully it'll behave. We'll make it to the 24th. That's on a Friday, so it will not affect our lives on Tuesday. But yeah, so I didn't have that, so I was able to go do some fabric shopping today. I bought a backing for the mystery quilt. I bought my batting for the mystery quilt because we're getting ready to wrap that up. And I bought some sashing fabric and some backing fabric for the t-shirt quilt that I'm working on. So I got to do some fabric retail shopping therapy this afternoon instead of getting a root canal. Hello, everybody. Shelly, you have a new business. You have a storm coming Thursday, a blizzard. Oh my glory. Williamsburg, yes, Kathy. Williamsburg. Minus 40 Celsius here with lots of snow. 40 Celsius. What is that in fair? I think I'm used to Fahrenheit. That sounds really cold. Yeah, it's been like summer here too. It's been the weirdest winter. Hi, Joyce in Virginia. Woohoo! All right, y'all. It is 8:01. Are y'all ready to see the new format that I've created? So give me some feedback and what you think. If you can see the pictures better, that's what I'm really hoping for. I was sort of limited to a small area on the side of the screen before, and I really wanted to show your pictures bigger. And Juanita, I'm sorry your weather is gloomy. New business is quilting and fabric. Yes! Taking my passion to the extreme. Yes, I'm all about going to the next level. Good for you. 40 below or colder. Oh my glory. I've experienced 20 below zero one time, and that was crazy. I cannot believe, or I cannot imagine 40 below. So yes, I'm hoping that you can see the pictures better. I'm hoping that I've been able to increase the size of your post, all of the typing, the information that you typed out about your pictures. Yes, I'm excited to show you. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. And so y'all feel free to comment amongst yourselves. If you have any questions, and you can stick around to the end. Maybe we can chat then, or maybe someone else here can help you with your questions. So feel free to ask. In the meantime, feel free to talk to each other. If you're watching on the replay, I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, you can still comment here on Facebook. And if you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below. Join us over on the Creative Crew group. I'll put a link in the description box. We'd love to have you over there. And I'm hoping, it looks like we're running much better than last week, which is awesome, because we upgraded our internet, and come to find out, I was hooked up to the wrong router last week. And so that was horrible. And the video was so horrible that it was like corrupted, and I was not able to put it on YouTube. I've had so many people ask me, even on YouTube, people on YouTube who do not do Facebook have asked, where's the live from last week? And so I'm really sorry. I've tried 8 times to load that video, and it just will not process on YouTube. And so I'm thinking that the quality was so bad because of the internet connection that it just corrupted the video. So I'm sorry, but we have lots of fun stuff to share tonight. And yes, we're going to go ahead and start sharing. Hello everybody, I'm so glad y'all are here. Let's move over to the slideshow. Now my picture's up here in the corner. And so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start with Miss D this evening. Scrolling through. Dee has one photo to share with us this evening. I love this. So she says it's been cold here in Houston the last couple of weeks, so I took a regular sweatshirt and I added a pocket and then appliqued the hearts. How creative is this? Right? I absolutely love this. Way to think outside the box. Way to dress up an ordinary sweatshirt and make it something extraordinary. And I love the plaid too. I love red and black. I love the plaid. It's fabulous. So is this your new favorite sweatshirt, Miss D? Y'all know I'm all about repurposing things and making something from one way and transforming it into something else. And so this is right up my alley. I'll leave that on the screen so you can see that for just a second. Miss D, I'm not sure if you're here, or maybe you'll be on the replay. I would be interested in knowing how you made the pocket for this. Is it lined, or is it just one piece of fabric that you've turned the edges over? I'm very curious. Maybe a tutorial is called for. Maybe you could walk us through it step by step here on our creative. There you are. Yes, the pocket is Sherpa lined. Whoa! Oh my goodness. That is so awesome. This is an awesome way to start our evening. Thank you so much for sharing this. You're going to have to maybe take a picture of that Sherpa lining so that we can see what the inside looks like. It sounds warm and snuggly. So what do y'all think? Can you see the pictures better on the screen? All right, Miss D, thank you so much. I'm hoping maybe if you want to, you can share the process with us. We're going to move over to Suzanne. She has 3 pictures to share with us this evening. So she says, started working on a new quilt for my great nephew, and it includes some applique work. Thank you, Lisa, for all your guidance. I think my first attempt went well. I think so. I took apart a panel and purchased bright primary colored fabric to add in. That's so awesome. Yay, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, Miss Suzanne. Let's take a look at your second picture. Look, she's jumping right in. She's going to add some letters. She's going to add some different panels. This looks like really fun fabric. I see you have a weight. I'm imagining that you use that on your rulers when you're cutting. That's really smart. Let's see what she did with all of these pieces. Ta-da! I'm assuming that is going to be your layout. I think this is adorable. I'm so happy for you and excited that you are learning applique. To be honest, looking at your letters, I wouldn't have ever known that you are attempting applique. You say this is your first attempt. I would have never known that. Good job. What do you think about applique? Do you love it? Applique is one of my favorite techniques in making quilts. Most of my quilt patterns have applique in them. I just love the versatility of applique. So you're coming right along. I hope you keep us updated, Miss Suzanne, on this quilt as you come along. We'd love to see it. Hello, everybody that has just joined in. I'm so glad y'all are here. All right, we're on our third show and tell, and this one is from Beverly, and she has a quilt picture to share with us tonight. She says, finally finished a drunkard's path quilt for my son this Christmas. It took 3 years. So much happened. I had to stop and start again. We've all been there. He loved it. I didn't realize there were over 300 ways to put the blocks together when he picked out the pattern. Yes, there's so much you can do with the drunkard's path block. I love this arrangement though. Wow, it just looks like there's movement in your quilt. It's very, very like attractive. And it's also masculine, and that might have something to do with the colors that you chose. But it's so great. I know he loves it. Who would not love this quilt? 3 years. Yes, I've been there. So I've had pieces of work in the process for that long. Most of them I've actually never gone back to. So I commend you for going back and finishing this quilt. And look, it was so worth it. It was so worth it. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Everybody celebrate for Beverly. That's an accomplishment when you can pick something up and finish it. Very, very nice. So glad you shared that. All right, for our fourth show and tell, this writing is a little bit smaller because we had more to fit in, but I'm thinking you can still see it on the screen. We have Miss Evelyn, and she says, I just love this group. I did this baby quilt project over the weekend and got so much help from our group. I know, right? That's what I try to tell people. If you have questions, all you have to do is come to our group and make a post, and usually within the hour you have at least one response or someone putting you in the right direction, right? Made it fun, like we were all doing it together, right? It's like a family, like a community. I wish we all lived closer, but I'm really thankful for this group because it does feel like we're connected. Great suggestion to do the name on the back, and I really like it like that. Monogrammed the bear, 3 burp pads, and a bib done in the hoop. I think a nice baby shower gift. And I have a couple of other pictures to show from Evelyn. So here's a picture of the bear, and she did the letter B on the chest of the bear. You can see a snippet of the back and the front of the quilt here in this picture. I love that panel. You might have said on our group where you got the panel from, but I don't recall. So if you could let us know that, maybe someone would be interested. Here's another picture, and you can see the bib. Aw, I love the name on the quilt. I've done a few with the names going right across in a strip just like that, and I think it's perfect. Yes, I think your gift will be the hit of the baby shower. Here's another picture. And one more picture. I bet this was a fun little quilt to make. I haven't made a baby quilt in a little while now. I like making them. I also like the thickness of your binding. I really like that. It's almost like an extra little border, right? Evelyn, we're glad you're in this group. I think it's a perfect group to be able to share knowledge, ask questions, get help, inspire, and help other people. So, Miss Evelyn, that was this weekend. I know you don't go very long in between your projects, and so I'm wondering, have you started something new? I'm almost willing to bet that I bet you've already started something different. All right, now we have a picture from Mrs. Ellen. And she says she got blessed with this. Now I saw this quilt come through a day or a couple days ago on our group, and this week has been so swamped. I think you were asking about the origins of this quilt maybe. But yes, look how bright and vibrant this quilt is. Wouldn't you want to know like the history of this quilt? So I'm curious, Miss Ellen. Oh, you're working on a t-shirt quilt, Evelyn. That's awesome. Ellen, I'm wondering how big this quilt is. You might have mentioned in your original post, and I might have missed it, but I'm just wondering how big this is and what the back looks like. You might have posted pictures of the back too, and I might have missed that. This evening when we're done, I'll scroll back through and see if that's on there. But yes, this is so fascinating and very vibrant. It's so interesting, right? I would love to know who made it. I know you love to have it, and so yes, that's an awesome blessing. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's a lot of fun to look at. All right, and Miss Chantel is next, and her writing is small because she had a lot to say. So I'm going to read it to you, just in case you can't see that. And I have a couple of pictures. Let's see. Yes, she has 3 pictures to share with us. So we'll start with this first picture. And she says, "Here is my first quilt. It's a rag quilt, which I have learned a lot about sewing and quilting using baby comforters as well as different bed sheets from my sister and her son. My mother-in-law gave me some fabrics also. I am so proud of myself. You should be. Yes, we're proud of you. This is a before picture, and as soon as it comes out of the dryer, I will show you the finished product. Since I have about a month left before I head back to work, I might take a break from making my second nephew's quilt. I will try to make smaller projects and learn different sewing and quilting skills. That's a really good idea. This way I will have more skills to activate my creative juices. Yes! I am glad that I did this first quilt. I got to learn a lot about my sewing machine and its functions. That's what I always say. You can watch 100 tutorials about something and you can watch demonstrations, but until you actually sit down and work it for yourself, at least for me, that's when I absorb the knowledge. That's really when my brain starts taking hold of all of that information and it starts really setting in and making sense. Love this group and my sewing quilting passion. I think it's fabulous. Let's take a look at your next picture. So this is the front. And let's see. So this is the front. I think we saw snippets of this last week, didn't we? The Tinkerbell and the Raggedy Ann and the Winnie the Pooh. Yes, and the football. I think we saw your progress last week, so you've come a long way. Look at you go. And this is the back. I'm so proud of you. I really am. Good job. And I do like your idea of maybe taking a little bit of time and making some smaller projects to experiment with different skills and different techniques with your quilting. And I think that's the best way to approach it. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. But yes, this is perfect for your first quilt. I'm so happy for you. I really am. I get so excited when somebody makes their first quilt. I get excited when someone makes their 10th and their 20th and their 100th quilt too. But there's always something about somebody learning something new that I find really, really exciting. All right, we're going to move to Miss Faith now. And Faith has a wall hanging with a sleeve on the back and a pillow cover with a hidden zipper. Yes! Good job with your hidden zipper. I love rabbits. Fun fact, I have a tattoo of a rabbit. I bet you didn't know that. And yes, I've always loved rabbits. I love this project. So the rabbit, is that a panel that you came across, or I can't quite tell from the picture? Is that embroidery? I'm so curious. But I love that. A matching pillow with your wall hanging. That's a lot of fun. Just gonna make sure to see. Yep, it looks like we're still going. So, Miss Faith, is this project for you and something that you're keeping, or did you make this for someone else? I'm always curious. Thank you for sending that picture in. That was a treat for me, since I love rabbits. Next, we have a picture from Sherry. And she says that just received this photo from my friend slash client. I have a lot of clients that have turned into friends. Some really, really good friends too, honestly. I'm sure it was difficult I'm sure it was a difficult first Christmas without their mom and grandma. Hopefully these three bears provided a lot of comfort. I know that they did. We saw your bears as you were finishing this up. It's so awesome to see a picture update with the recipients of our projects. And so yeah, that's nice that they sent you a picture. You know that they'll keep those bears forever and ever, and they'll pass them down to their family. So yes, you've created a keepsake that will forever be in their family. That's so nice that they sent you that picture, and I'm glad you were able to share that with us too. Good job, Sherry. One of these days I'm going to make a bear. One of these days I'm going to make a tote bag. I have a lot of projects to learn how to do. All right, Miss Debbie. Debbie, I have a few pictures from you, and then I had accidentally skipped one of your pictures, and so I'm going to show these pictures, and then you're going to revisit us here in a little bit. So the first picture from Debbie, she says, I finished this for my niece just an hour before gifting it to her. How many of y'all have been in that situation before? She'll be 3 next month. And we've seen the progress of this quilt. I actually got to see the needlework in the very center of this quilt in person when Debbie came to visit me. Extraordinary work. Very time-consuming work. It was lovely. So she finished up this quilt, and yes, I know. I've been in a situation one other time where I was running out of time to finish a project right before it was supposed to go to who it was going to. And that's a very stressful situation, but you made it through. Let's see, I have a picture of the back that I can show. So there's her back fabric, Elsa fabric. That's a great back for this quilt. And then she says, now that she's done with that, she is working on this. I love doing crochet, however, I'm nowhere close to this level in my crocheting skills. Look at those stitches. This reminds me of something my Nana would have made. Debbie, is this a project you're working on for yourself, or are you making this for someone else? And I do have one more picture coming up of another Afghan that you made, but it got out of place in my slideshow. So yes, look at those stitches. It looks so pretty on my screen. All right, don't forget, you have something else coming up here in just a little bit. I think I got my little slides mixed up. I did. Okay, here we have something from Janet. So Janet did the challenge from last week. Her favorite color is my favorite color, purple. She says, my first time trying crumb quilting. Yeah, if y'all have never heard of crumb quilting, search that on YouTube. It's so much fun. Did okay, I think, but couldn't finish because I tore a ligament between the middle and index fingers. So that's what you have wrapped around your fingers. It put a stop to sewing. It will probably require surgery to repair. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Janet. Oh, goodness. Yeah, you're going to have to update us, keep us updated on that situation, okay? And we'll be praying that hopefully it won't come to surgery, but let us know if it does. We'll be praying right through that surgery and for a quick recovery. But yes, look at your little block. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, it reminds me of Connie's picture from last week where she made her own fabric using bits of fabric and lace and eyelash trim and sequins. This is a lot like that. It's all fabric, but it's little tiny bits of fabric assembled into a large block. That's fantastic. Let's see what else you have to share, because we have another photo from you as well. Look at this idea. So the writing might be a little bit small on this too, but she says, Terry posted a picture of the beautiful adding machine tape holder her husband had made for her. Let me make that bigger so that I can read that. Let's see, where was I? Terry posted a picture of the beautiful adding machine tape holder her husband made for her to sew scraps to for a piano keyboard strip. It reminded me of the little wooden dog my dad made me that held a roll of adding machine tape and a place for a pencil. It was to write messages. The metal strip was to tear off the paper, and you could unscrew one of the screws to pull apart to change the roll. Now, years later, it has a new use. Thanks, Dad. Isn't that awesome? I love that. I have, about 2 months ago, I found a whole bunch of adding machine tape, and I never think to pull it out so I can make some borders with it, but yeah, it's perfect for that. Look at this little dog. Aw, and your dad made that. I think that's so awesome, repurposing something to use in your studio. I think it's adorable, Janet. I think it's so cute. All right, and yeah, if y'all want to see the one that Terry posted, it is on our Creative Crew group. You'll have to scroll through several posts to see it, but her husband made her one, and that was pretty awesome as well. So you can go check that out too. But yes, I love this. Now I want one. I'll have to look at different things that I can repurpose or keep my eyes open at the thrift shop for something I could turn into a little holder for the adding paper. All right, Miss Debbie, here we go. Here is your picture that I put in the wrong place. She said, I finished this after Christmas. So glad it got done. It was difficult after my fall and injury. I bet trying to do anything during an injury makes it like 1,000 times even more difficult, right? But certainly looking at this, you wouldn't have ever known that you were hurting through this. I'm wondering, how long does it take for you from start to finish to make one of these? For me, as slow as I do crochet, it would take me a year to make this. And my sides would be all wonky because I always forget to count my stitches and miss a stitch. I'd have holes in it. And so yes, I admire your skill It's very beautiful. I'm glad you got it done too. How are your classes going? You might have said, and I just can't recall off the top of my head. All right, now we have Mrs. Linda. And she says, here's a picture of my Valentine's quilt. Old and navy is faded, and so is the first place ribbon, but I still love it. I can see why you love it. This looks like a quilt that my great aunt made. My mom has a quilt about this size in her bedroom, and I can't quite remember if it's this exact same pattern, but if I'm recalling, it looks so similar to this. And so when I saw your picture, it reminded me of that quilt. Yes, I would love it too. And I wouldn't care how faded it got, I would still love it. Thank you for sharing that with us. I love the hearts in it. It's perfect for Valentine's Day coming up before you know it. Next we have Evie, and she says, here is my favorite color challenge. So she did the challenge last week. Since I am a Gemini, I jump from project to project, and so I was glad to get back into making these little dolls from pipe cleaners. I made the purple, blue favorite colors this week for the challenge. How adorable is that? You made these from pipe cleaners. I want to see if I can make this bigger for myself so I can see that. Wow, I would have never known that's pipe cleaners. Evie, you're going to have to give us a demonstration on how you made these little dolls. They look like they're so much fun to make. So yeah, thanks for playing along in last week's challenge. I have another fun little challenge for this week. Thank you for sending in your picture. Those look like a lot of fun to make. Let's see. Now we have Miss Juanita. And she says, here is mine, Lisa, and it's not quite done yet, but it's a start. It's for a twin-size bed for my great nephew. Fantastic. So I'm wondering, your blocks here, are those like the one, what is the name of those? One Star Wonders, or I forget now off the top of my head, but you make like cut 8 of them out all at one time, and then it's like a kaleidoscope. That's what I'm seeing when I see your quilt. So yeah, he's gonna love this, right? How much bigger are you planning on making your quilt? Looks like you're coming right along. What color are you going to choose for your backing fabric? And I hope you keep us updated on pictures. I would love to see this when this is finished. So yeah, what did y'all think? Could you see the pictures better? Could you see the writing better as we went through our slideshows? Fussy cut, stack and whack, maybe. Yeah, stack and whack. Yes, that's one of the names. I've heard it called something else too. Stack and whack. Kaleidoscope quilt. Yes. One Block Wonder. Okay, that's the name that I was trying to think, but I have also heard it called Stack and Whack too. Um, yes, I love that. I watched some videos on the process of making sure all of your fabrics are stacked exactly right and putting pins at different places to make sure you cut everything exactly perfect. And I've always been like, am I sure I have the patience for that? I would love to do it. It's just, I just don't know that I have the patience to do it. But look at the results. It's fabulous. All right, thank you all so much for sharing all of your pictures and your progress and your accomplishments. I know for some it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there, so I'm so proud of you for doing that. And I just want to let you know that you are encouraging people by sharing your work. And so just thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your sharing this evening. I love it. Tonight, let's see, I think we have 5 topics that we will talk about. I move my screen around, and we're going to start with Connie with our first topic. Linda, you think it wastes too much fabric? I thought that too when I was watching the process. However, none of that fabric would get thrown away in my studio because I save all of that stuff. So I would be saving it for applique, even smaller little bits. You can always fit some small applique in there, right? Or like the crumb quilting like we saw. Yeah, none of that would really go to waste because I'd be saving every last bit of it. But I think for me, I think it would be so stressful. Like I would be so stressed in making sure I cut it exactly perfect for it to show up like it did on that quilt. Thank you, Debbie, for the update on your class. That is crazy. All right. Okay, let's move into, I was getting totally sidetracked by the comments. That's what happens when I look over there. All right, let's start with the topics for this evening. And our first topic is from Connie, and she had quite a bit to write, so it's a little bit smaller. And I have an illustration for you, Miss Connie. So let me pull this up. And I'm hoping that this is what you're asking. If not, I'm going to do a little bit of talking for no good reason. Maybe someone else will find this useful. But I'm hoping that this answers your question or at least puts you in the right direction. However, everyone that's watching, if you have suggestions for Connie or tips, maybe you can share them in the chat, or you can share them on our page after the chat is over, or maybe you can reach out to Connie and y'all can chat via Messenger or however you want to reach out to her. But this is what I did. And she says, I have a question. I have my second quilt in my head. Some blocks are cut and stabilized already, left over from the first quilt. I want to make a collage quilt, but not with partial seams. Okay, so we want to design it so that we're not doing any partial seams. However, I know this is your second quilt, Connie. Down the road, I'm going to encourage you to tackle your first partial seam, and then after that, it's not going to be as intimidating and you won't be trying to avoid it in the future. But for your second quilt, we're going to work around not doing a partial seam. I would like to do it in strips of different sizes. Make sense? I think so. Like a square next to a rectangle, next to a 4-patch, etc. Make a line of that till you get the length you want. Do the same for the next row, mixing them up, sew the rows together, and so on. Could you tell me how you would do it, or direct me to a similar pattern? I tried the graph paper, but I am too shaky from the tremors and need a glue stick and need to figure out my length. All help is appreciated. I love my sisters and brothers in this group. Okay, so this is what I did, Connie, is I just drew out some graph paper, and I colored in the first 3 rows as an example of different size blocks. And on this graph paper, each one of the little lines of the graph, we're going to say that those represent 2 finished inches. Okay. So our first top row starts with a green block. That whole row is 70 inches long. Now you can make your rows as long as you want. If you keep a running tally on a sheet of paper, the rows that you add together, or measure it once you're done, you can make your rows as long as you want. Okay, that row, all of the blocks that you add to that row, make them divisible by 2. Add a seam allowance when you're doing your cutting. So this first green block, let's look at it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10.5 inches wide and 10.5 inches long. That's your first block. Your next little strip would be 4 inches wide, 4.5 when you cut it, and 10.5 inches long. Same with your purple block. Each one of your little pieces, just make sure that they're all divisible by the same number, like 2 inches or 4 inches. And keep everything 10 inches in that first row. And I'm just using 10 as an example, okay? Your rows could be 14 inches. They could be 15 inches if you wanted to make them that wide. So make your first row, and then you'll just repeat that process, adding the blocks as you go until you get the length that you're trying to do. For me, I think it would be helpful, let's say we're starting with this top row up at the top with the green on the left, the 10 by 10. I would just make a running total on a scrap piece of paper. Block 1, 10 inches by 10, 10 inches wide, 10 inches long. When I add my next piece, add that, so now we're looking at 14 inches, right? The purple piece is 4 more inches. Now we're looking at 18 inches long. And by the time you get to the length that you want, you can stop. You might want to square up all the little edges to make sure it's nice and straight on all your sides. And then you just repeat the process for your next row, and you keep making rows until you make the size quilt that you're looking for. I'm hoping that that answers your question, if that's what you were asking. Chantel, I made this little graph in Inkscape. So that is what you need. Okay, good, because in my head, reading through what you wrote, this is what I was thinking. Different size blocks. And you know what? You could add blocks that are bigger and just trim your row as you go along. And if it's longer than 70 inches and 70 is your target goal, just square it up at 70 inches and shorten it up when you're done. But yes, that is how I would do it without a pattern. Just keep a running tally of your measurements and add them up as you go along. Think of all the possibilities with this, right? You could have a Dresden plate in the green block. You could do 4 patches, you could do 9 patches, you could do some applique, throw that in there. You could put someone's name, you could do some embroidery on a block and throw that in there. So yes, there's tons of possibilities with a quilt like this. So you're going to keep us updated, right? With pictures and all of that stuff. Inkscape, yes. I have a few tutorials. I've been doing some little like workshops live on YouTube about Inkscape. So today we did a fun one with putting text on a path. You could, Evelyn, you could put a sashing between the rows. I just separated these so that we could see the row while I was talking about it. But you could put them together so that all the rows are, all the blocks are touching, your rows are touching. Or you could add a sashing. If you added a sashing, it would look like what you see here on the screen. Okay, there would be some division and separation there. But you could just assemble them. I separated them so that you could see my illustration, but you could do it either way. Yeah, Chantel, go check out my Inkscape tutorials. I think you'll find them interesting and helpful, hopefully. So yes, okay, Connie, you're going to keep us updated on your quilt. And if you run into a question while you're working on it, just take a picture and put it on our group, and I'm sure someone will jump onto it and help you out. Debbie, this program that I made this design is Inkscape. So yes, it's very helpful in designing. All right, Connie, keep us updated. If you run into questions, make sure to let us know. Whoops, studio mode. You mean application on blank blocks? You mean applique? Yeah, you could do applique on your blank blocks. You could do all kinds of stuff. All right, our next topic, we're going to move to Miss Kim. Let's see. Make sure I pull up all the pictures. All right, here we go. So Kim wrote in and she said, I was given 20 t-shirts to make 4 lap quilts. So 5 t-shirts per quilt using backs to make 3-piece strip sets to use in the quilt. Thinking of adding a photo of a family member who has passed. Thinking iron-on transfer paper instead of photo fabric. Thoughts? So what I've done, Miss Kim, is I've put 2 products that I've personally used in different projects, and I'll talk really briefly about the 2 differences that I experienced, and maybe you'll get some feedback from some other people here in the chat, and you can, if you're not here, you can check through the messages and see if you have any comments regarding either one of these products. But the one on the left with the red and yellow package is t-shirt transfers, and that is sort of like a piece of paper that you print on and then you iron that to the front of a t-shirt. The green package is the June Taylor Color Fast fabric, and it's actually a sheet of fabric with a carrier sheet on the back, and you print your photo directly on the fabric, and the fabric is treated with a chemical that when you soak it in water, it sets all of your inks and makes them permanent. I've used both of these. Now these are not the only 2 products that are out there. If you do a Google search or you go into Joann Fabrics or any of your quilt shops, you're going to find all kinds of different brands. And so Yeah, there's unlimited brands, but these two I can personally talk and speak about because I've used them both. So what I will say is they both work really well. The t-shirt transfer, the one, the Avery t-shirt, the red and yellow package, uh, makes an awesome shirt. I will say that in my experience, after I washed the shirt several times, that the transfer started to crack. That could just be the way I washed it. It could be maybe I didn't iron it well, or maybe I ironed it too much. I don't know. Maybe it's the nature of the product. The June Taylor Color Fast, I have videos on using that and demonstrating how it works. I love this product a lot. I will say that it's a little bit, I don't want to say crispy. It has a different texture versus if you have, all right, let's say you have the June Taylor Color Fast fabric after it's printed on, and you have a piece of normal fabric from the quilt shop. This one drapes and is very soft, and this one is a little bit firmer. Again, I'm going to use the word crispy. It's not really crispy, but it feels a little stiffer. It still feels great to put it in a quilt, and I don't want you to not use it because of that. Out of these two products, the one in the green package, the June Taylor, is actually my preferred one to use. However, if you have access to both products and you want to do some experimenting, if you're making 4 quilts with pictures in them, I would highly suggest, if you don't have a method for adding a photo to your quilt, that you do some experimenting anyway before you invest the time and money in making a quilt and then realize that you're not happy with the quality of the photo. So there's my experience. You can check out both of these products. You can do a Google search for t-shirt transfers or for photo fabric. You can also iron some fabric to some freezer paper and print directly on it and color set it with some retain. That's really soft if you're looking for really soft photos for your quilts. But yes, I've used both of these. My favorite one is the June Taylor's. Again, that's just me, and I think if you ask 100 quilters who have printed photos on some kind of product like this, you might get 100 different answers for 100 different reasons. And so what I like might be different from what you like, and that's okay. But that's my 2 cents on the 2 different methods. But I do hope you keep us updated, Kim. Let us know what you decide, and share pictures with us because we'd love to see your quilts. All right. That was topic number 2. Next, we have a topic from Chantel. All right. So we've changed screens and we have our topic from Chantel. And do we? Yes, we do. Okay, just making sure. She said she has a question. My next project is to give a second life to my grandma's unfinished quilt. I love that you're going to do that. I will cut out the squares which are finished and then make a half square triangle, then manually hand stitch it into the quilt. Here's my challenge. The quilt top is fall colored, and my yard is summer colored. Can I match them as top and bottom of my quilt and finish it with a neutral binding? What do you think? Am I over my head, or is this feasible? Your comments would be greatly appreciated. So I'm thinking you have a yard of fabric that you want to use as a top and bottom border, Is that right? And it's at different colors. And you still want to use it. First, it's really hard saying without seeing your fabrics. And so before you do anything, if you want to take a couple snapshots and post them on our group, I think you'd be able to get a lot of helpful feedback if we can see the fabrics that you're working with. It might be that they're perfectly fine and you don't have to do anything, and then you can just start sewing, right? But let's say your fabric that you want to add to your grandma's quilt. Let's say that the fall colors are really dark and the other fabric is really bright and vibrant, and you still want to use it, but it just doesn't quite go. I have a couple of ideas. And this might be pushing you out of your comfort zone, but it's just the first thing that popped in my head. Maybe someone else has some ideas as well that they can share. But what I did is I went on my YouTube channel and I did a screenshot of 2 videos. Okay, one of my favorite things to do, and I always say that, one of my favorite things, because I have so many favorite things that I really do love doing, is tea dyeing fabric. So if you've never done that before, I walk you through the process in this video, and we dye some fabric with tea. Now you can also do it with coffee. In the video that's right underneath of it, I dyed some laces and some trims for my junk journals, but it would work the same way with fabric as well. But yeah, let's say you have a summery bright fabric and you really want to use it because you love the print, but it just doesn't go. What if you dyed it with some tea and muted those colors? I wonder if it would go with the fall fabric after you did that. Right? It would look kind of vintage. Or, you know, Rit makes several different dyes, and you could probably re-dye your summer fabric and give it a different color. Maybe like a, I don't know what colors, fall colors, like a dark orange or a dark green, or I don't know. I haven't seen your fabric, but maybe try some Rit. You know, and if you have, you know, some scraps that you want to experiment with, give that a try and see what happens. And if you don't want to mess with the chemicals of Rit, and you don't want to do the tea or the coffee dyeing, I went on Google and I pulled up making fabric dyes with vegetables. There's cabbage, asparagus, all kinds of vegetables give you different colored dyes that you can dye fabric with. And so this was marthastewart.com, and she walks you through the process of making natural dyes from plants and vegetables. But there's about 1,000 other websites and blogs and videos that show you how to do it too. So there's 3 ideas that you could tone down your summer colored fabric to go with your fall colored fabric if your heart is really set on using both of them together. But before you do that, I would love it if you maybe took a picture of the 2 fabrics together so that we can see what you're working with. It might be that you don't have to do anything at all. But how fun would it be? So there's my ideas. I see some comments coming through. Avocado shells, yes. Onions and beets. Connie says she's been coffee dyeing for over 40 years. Yes. Spinach. Yes, material dyeing. You would dye your material with tea or with coffee. You could use a Rit product. They have other dyes out there too. And then you could make your own from plants and vegetables. That sounds like so much fun. So there's some ideas. You said you're going to take a picture. Yeah, share pictures with us before you do anything. It might be that you don't have to do any of this. It might be that you can work with everything the way that it is. but how fun would it be to do some material dyeing? All right. Let's see, that was fun. Yeah, if you haven't checked out those coffee and tea dyeing videos, you might want to go check them out. If not for this project, for a future project. It's a lot of fun. All right, our fourth topic is from Mrs. Barbara. So we're going to transition over the screen. And I have two websites I'm going to share. However, again, with the websites, there's about 1,000 of them out there. So don't think that you only have these two to work with. I even found some videos on YouTube that might help you out as well. So she has a question. She says, hold on, let me get a sip of water. Chantel says I'm stretching her out of her comfort zone. You can do it. All right, Miss Barbara says, I generally do not quilt or embroider for business, but every once in a while someone asks for, say, a name embroidered on a quilt. What is a fair way to determine a fee? It takes time, thread, etc., so I struggle with no charge, but do not want to overcharge. I think that's the struggle with every genre in the crafting and arts world, right? Is trying to figure out a cost for our goods or a cost for our services. Yeah. So what I've done is I did a Google search. I wanted to find tangible places to send you because I think that we're all different. I think with my embroidery, if I wanted to put a name on a quilt, I charge so much per 1,000 stitches. Okay, and that's a set fee. And then I charge a certain amount for hooping and setting up. A lot of embroiderers will also charge a digitizing fee, setting up the stitches within the program or for the machine, because that all takes time. If you're digitizing, that takes skills, right? So sometimes you'll find a digitizing fee. Then you'll find a setup fee, and the setup fee covers like your stabilizers and the time that it takes you to hoop your project to get it set up in the machine and get going. And then they charge so much money per 1,000 stitches. But I wanted to refer you to these two websites because I found them very helpful when I got my embroidery machine. And the first website on the left is johnnybattle.com, and you'll see the name right underneath of me. And then this website on the right is swfeast.com, and she goes into a lot of details about all of the different elements that could go into the pricing for doing embroidery. I do think there's a difference between someone who's looking to set up a pricing guide, a pricing system for doing embroidery as a business. That's their business, embroidery, versus someone who makes quilts and wants to occasionally embroider someone's name on a quilt, or maybe embroider a quilt label, right? So these websites go into a lot more other details that might or might not pertain to you in your setup. However, they do cover a lot of aspects and a lot of really good solid points that you'll want to check out. And so I wanted to share these with you. Again, there are some videos about this, not my videos, but there are some videos on YouTube as well. So, you know, this coming weekend or sometime through the week, if you have some time, check out these two websites. They make some really good solid points about the pricing, and some of it, again, might not pertain to you and your situation, but there's a lot of things that I think you'll find that does. And then you can set up your own pricing system. Like for me, I don't take in embroidery orders. I don't do custom embroidery on commission. I make quilts on commission. I have taken in a few like shirt orders for doing embroidery, but that's not my business, right? I'll do it if I'm asked, but I'm not really set up for that. And so I've just made up a pay structure that accommodates what I do and my time. I want to make sure my time is covered, and I want to make sure I make a certain amount of money per hour. And basically, if you've been doing it for a while, then you know how long it takes to put a name on a quilt, and so you can figure out how much you want to get paid for your time, and then the materials that you use. But the Stitch It website really goes into some really great details about that. So when you have some time, check that out. I wanted to pass that along. I totally understand what you mean by struggling with doing everything for free, but then also feeling like I don't want to overcharge. I think we've all been in that situation. But also, as you do it more and more, you do build up a confidence to be able to confidently say, this is my fee. If you want the name on the quilt, this is how much it's going to be, and we can do it without it. But if you want me to do it, it's going to be X amount of dollars. I think it takes, you know, some time to get to that point, but eventually you'll be confident enough to know that you're probably not overcharging. And yeah, that part will get easier. So go check out these two websites, and again, just do a Google search for how to price embroidery on a quilt and see what comes up. There's thousands of websites. But I'm hoping that this is a good starting point for you. All right, and our last topic for this evening is from Susan. And we're going to talk about Inkscape one more time this evening. And happy planners. So Susan wrote me a question, and she says, can you create forms for your happy planner using Inkscape? And absolutely you can. Let me make my screen bigger so that I can see. I did a screenshot of my balance sheet. I created this balance sheet in Inkscape, and yeah, you can make PDFs that you can print off. I put the measurements for the classic Happy Planner pages on the screen right below me, 7 by 9.5 inches. So yes, you can make your document 7 by 9.25 and work within that space. You can create lines. You can create grids. You can assign text and move it all around. You can change the fonts. You can totally customize a page and save it as a PDF. Then you can open up like Adobe Acrobat Reader, change your print settings there so that it prints on paper that is 7 by 9 and 9.25. Pre-cut your copy paper to those measurements, put it in your printer, and print out your one-of-a-kind custom Happy Planner pages. So yes, you can absolutely do it. This is one of the sheets. This is my bank balance sheet that I have in my planner for this year. Because I do it on my computer, but I'm a tangible person. I have to see it on paper as well. And so, yes, I wanted a spreadsheet to be able to look at and keep a running total of my transactions. I keep track of how much money I spend, where the money goes. I keep track of the income and what source it's from. So yeah, running a business, you have to know your numbers. And so this is a sheet that I created using Inkscape. So yes, you can absolutely do that. We haven't gotten to, let's see, we've talked about text in some of my Inkscape tutorials. Maybe one of the tutorials I could show you how to draw a box with lines and equally distribute them. That would be fun. So yes, you can absolutely do it. Yes, Barbara, we invest in our equipment, use our thread, our time, etc. Needs to be compensated fairly. You're absolutely right. And I think all of those, pardon me, all of those things need to go into consideration when pricing our work. And yeah, the website that I shared, the Sew It website, she really goes into some really great points about that. And so, yeah, I would recommend checking out that website. Oh, I'm out of water. Chantel says you can also do it in an Excel spreadsheet. Yes. Okay, so here's my thing. I do have my bank, my transactions set up in an Excel worksheet, and I also have it in my Happy Planner. I'm not going to pull up my Excel worksheet because it has all my information in it, and so I don't want to share that. But yes, Excel works too, and you don't have to do the math, right? It adds up all your totals for you, and you can do so much in it. And then print that out, and you can change the print settings to 7 by 9.25 as well. Terry, you can get Inkscape if you go to inkscape.org. If you Google that, the website comes up, and you can download that for free. All right, I think that's all of our topics for this evening. I have one little fun challenge for this week. Microsoft instead of Inkscape. Like Microsoft Word, if you're familiar with the process, like the word processing software like Microsoft Office, I'm sure you could do the exact same thing. It's been years since I used Office or like Word documents because I can easily and quickly create something like this in Inkscape, Microsoft Word. I'm sure that you can do this, add text boxes and all that fun stuff. I just don't move around as quickly in Word as I do in Inkscape. All right, let's move over to our challenge for this week. I used to use Office regularly when I worked in an office. And then because I used it so much that I carried it home, you know, I worked with it at home too. And now it's been so long since I used it. My Microsoft Office is probably out of date. There's probably been so many updates since I worked with it last. So who knows what all it can do now. All right, here's our new challenge screen. Changed around. Can you do embroidery designs or just words and etc.? Linda, Inkscape has an extension that you can add to it that evidently you can design or assign stitches for embroidery. I believe it's called Stitch, and we were talking about that in one of the live videos on YouTube the other day. I personally have not downloaded that and worked with it yet, so I'm not sure exactly what all it does and how well it works. There might be some YouTube tutorials on it, but just the version of Inkscape that you download, you can create SVGs, PNGs, PDFs, JPEGs, BMPs, yeah, a ton of different file types, but it does not do embroidery extension files. It will not create stitches that tells your embroidery machine where to go. However, it does create SVG files, and I use Embrilliance software to digitize my embroidery, so I can create an SVG in Inkscape, import that into Embrilliance, and digitize my designs in Embrilliance. So how do you get that extension? I found it the other day, not the exact one because there's so many extensions. Let me see if I can do, before we go on to the challenge, let me see if I can, y'all give me just a second. I'm going to see if I can add sharing my screen. Display capture. Okay. Okay. Alright, my screen's going to look a little funny. I'm going to see if I can go to Inkscape. So let me see if that changes over on our live. Y'all give me just 1 second. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm just going to wait for 1 second to see if it switches over on my phone and you can see my Googles. My sound is off. My sound is off. Y'all cannot hear me. I did forget to plug in my earphones. Okay, sound is fine. Alright, so yep, here's my Googles. If you type in the Google search bar Inkscape, you're gonna see some websites come up. On Inkscape, it'll say Inkscape draw freely, https inkscape.org. We're going to click on that. My internet's going to be really slow because I'm streaming. I so wish we still had Verizon. So this is what comes up when you click on Inkscape. You see this page here. This button here is where you would download from. I'm not going to do that because I already have it on my computer. You can go right to this bar and it'll say download the current version, They have an upcoming version 1.0, the latest development version, and extensions. So right there is where we want to go. And then all of these extensions can be modified to Inkscape, okay? And I have not messed around with any of these. I get Inkscape to do exactly what I want it to do, and I've never used an extension. But evidently, there's one in here called Stitch. Stitch. I wonder if we can search for it. Let's look in the search bar here. Again, it's going to take me a second because my internet is slow. So yeah, I'm not sure what all these little things do. Evidently you can create multiple grids and boxes, 3D boxes. No resources found for Stitch. Yeah, I'm not really sure. You know, we were talking about it in the live the other day, and someone said she had an extension and it was called Stitch. Now I could be remembering that incorrectly. And I'd have to go back to the live and look, but this is where you'd find all the extensions that you can add to your Inkscape, is right in this menu here. If you hover over download and you scroll down, there's all of your extensions. The version I am working with is the, let's see, 0.91. I updated to the 0.92 and it did not want to work on my computer. So if you click download current version, it brings you to this page. If you have a Linux system, you would click here to download. If you're using Windows, if you're using Mac, I don't know what this is for. If you're a coder or a developer, you would know what this does. So here is the newest, latest version, 0.92.4. That one did not work for me. I scrolled all the way down to this 0.91 right here, and this was released in 2015. I know this one works really well on my computer, and so that's the version that I have. But since then, they've released several more versions, and each time they update all of the little tools and things like that, and they will tell you about all the updates right on the page. But yeah, they don't really work on my system. It's too much information for my computer, and it freezes up or shuts down. And so right here is my version, 0.91. All right. So I'm hoping that was helpful. My operating system is Windows 8.1. I had it written down and I threw it away the other day. I have Windows 8.1 and it's a 64-bit. If you want to see where you can find out what your computer is, let me show you that too, and it's going to take me a second. I have to click through some stuff, but there might be some of you who are wondering what your computer is, so you know which version, you know where to download from. So let me pull that up. It's going to look a little crazy for 1 second. If we go to, let's open up this little utilities box down here. I don't know what that's technically called. We're going to open up, where do we go? The control panel. Now I just had this open up the other day. Where did I go? Application tools. Y'all hold on a second. Well, that's not where I want to go. Device manager, was that it? Control panel. File manager. Okay. Let me see if I can find that. See, in the softwares, I always know what I'm talking about. But when it comes to doing this stuff, I'll click on start. Okay, hold on a second. I thought I clicked on something over here though. Click on start and the COG. What is COG? Y'all give me just a minute. That's not what I want. Oh, left mouse button. Left mouse button is what, this is what I get. The little gear wheel. Okay, little gear wheel. Ah, all right, we're getting somewhere. Settings. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. PC and devices. PC info. Here we go. I think this is what, let's see, 64-bit operating system, Windows 8.1. Well, that was difficult. All right, under PC and devices, PC info. So let's do this one more time. PC settings. So if you have a computer like mine, Windows 8.1, let's see. I left clicked on the start button. Mine's a touch screen, so I have to touch the screen to pull open this little menu over on the right. Down here on the cog wheel, I didn't know that that had a name. I clicked on that and I see this little menu and I clicked on change PC settings. And then this menu opened up and I chose on PC and devices and then a PC info. And hallelujah, it's a miracle we found it. So right here it says system type is 64-bit operating system and my Windows edition is 8.1. So there you go. There's a roundabout way of figuring out what operating system you're working on. Pretty sure you could have looked up a YouTube tutorial a lot faster than that. Than me trying to find that. Let's see. Let's get to this challenge now that I'm totally frustrated with my computer. Whew. All right, our challenge for this week. If you do not sew, and you're here on the Creative Crew group, we do lots of other genres of stuff. This week, our challenge will be much easier if you do sew. However, if you're really creative, you can think of other ways without a sewing machine that you can play along with the challenge if you want to do this week's challenge. So I just wanted to throw that out there before I show you. Yeah, thank you, y'all, for walking me through that. So throw that out there before I pull up this week's challenge. Let's see. All right, here is our challenge for this week. Create your own unique mug rug. Share pictures to our group. So I just threw up the vintage heart mug rug as an example. If you're really new to sewing, if you haven't seen a lot of different tutorials like that I've made on YouTube, you might not have ever heard of a mug rug. You might not know what they are. But they're awesome little things. Let me show you the mug rug I have on my desk. It's like a little placemat, except it's smaller. You can make them all different sizes. You can make a larger one like this. This is like 8.5 by 10. You can make them smaller, like 6 by 6 or 6 by 10, 7 by 10, 8 by 8, 9 by 9. I say there's no rules when it comes to creating these little mug rugs. Whatever size works best for you. I usually tend to like the bigger ones because I use it to put my drink on it. I'll put a little snack on here, and I use it for my mouse pad. So it's a 3-in-1 mug rug for me on my desk. But I have one next to my sewing machine. If I have a drink, it keeps it from condensating on my table. What's really nice about these is that you can wash them when you're done. And so if you're someone who likes to reduce using a bunch of paper products, you can make a bunch of these and make little snack mats if you're watching TV, stuff like that. But if you like to sew, this challenge will be really easy. If you're someone who doesn't sew with a sewing machine, maybe you could create one out of felt and you could glue your little pieces onto your felt with a permanent glue like Fabri-Tac. So there's an idea. If you don't sew but you still want to play along in this challenge, you can still make a mug rug. You can make it with any design you want. You could do some patchwork. You could do some applique. You could do patchwork and applique and put them together, much like the vintage heart mug rug pattern. So yes, the sky's the limit when it comes to what you could do. And I want to see something unique to you and something that you have thought of and designed all on your own. And I think that would be a lot of fun. So what do you think? This should be easy. You can make a mug rug in, I would say you could make one if you're going to make a smaller one, even if you're pretty new to sewing, relatively quickly. You could keep it really simple, just one solid piece of fabric on the top and a solid piece of fabric for the back, right? Or you could get crazy and do some applique. Hello, Rosie. How are you doing? Kelly, you love this challenge? Me too. I love making mug rugs. They're one of my most favorite things to do because they're quick. I say quick. I mean, it still takes time to make them, right? Especially if you're doing patchwork and applique. But if you need a break in between larger projects and you want something that you can do and get done and feel like you've accomplished something, mug rugs are perfect and they're so usable. You just throw them in the wash and then you're ready for the next time you use them. Connie's already got an idea in her head for hers. Debbie, you can most definitely do this. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, this challenge, you'll be able to use your little mug rug afterwards. They make perfect gifts. Uh, yeah, there's just so much you can do with them. All right, let's see. It is 9:38. Do y'all have any questions before we go? Any questions about the things that we covered in the topics? Maybe you have questions about the things that we showed during the slideshow. Rosie, you're still trying to catch up on the happiness is homemade. Yeah, you could take a break on the happiness. There's no certain time limit to get that quilt done. I just bought my backing fabric today, so I'm really excited about that. Yes, it's a great way to use up your scraps. Oh, you're going to make an elephant one, Juanita. That would be so adorable. Sherry, you're going to New York Thursday or Friday? If I could take the time off, I would meet you there. Yeah, Chantel, with your imagination running like this, go grab a piece of paper and write down your ideas because for certain, if you're like me, I'll be laying in bed and I'm like, yes, yes, oh, that's such a great idea. And then the next day, I go to think about something to do or try to think of it and I've lost it. So while your thoughts are going through, just jot them down on a scrap piece of paper so you don't forget. You leave tomorrow and you're going to New York. Woo! Kathy says for Inkscape installing, I went to Troy Tube channel, Beginner's Inkscape. He suggested there was a little benefit of loading W64-bit over the 32-bit version on any Windows operating system. I did not know that. So that's a good tip, and thank you for sharing that, Kathy. Yeah, so if you have not installed Inkscape and you are thinking about doing that and learning how to use the software, I do recommend going to Troy Tube. He's got so many really great, not just Inkscape tutorials, he does like heat press stuff and all kinds of videos. So yeah, maybe watch his Inkscape for Beginners tutorials because certainly there's a lot of people who make really great content and I'm not the only one out there who's doing these Inkscape tutorials. Mine are just sort of fashioned towards the creatives and ways to use Inkscape in your studio, in your craft room, stuff like that. Rosie, there's no rules to the mug rug. You can make it however big you want. So if you want to make it 4x4 and make it like a little coaster size, that would be awesome. If you want to make it 6x10, if you want to make it 8x8, 9x9, I tend to go with a little bit of a larger mug rug, like 8x10, just because I like to, my mug rug has to serve multi-purposes. It holds my drink, my snack, and my mouse on my desk, so it's got to be a little bit bigger. No size requirements. Barbara says our local quilt store is starting a GH. I'm like Lisa, I'm wondering what a GH. There's so many abbreviations in the quilt world. Oh, Gypsy's Wife Quilt Project. Oh my goodness, I love that quilt. Have y'all seen the Gypsy's Wife quilt? Oh, I don't have any more water. If you've never seen a gypsy's quilt, Google that. I think you'll fall in love. That should be fun, Barbara. I hope you keep us updated on that. Evelyn says, I've never made a mug rug. Well, maybe this week will be your first time. If you want to play along, you know, there's no requirement that to be a part of this group you have to play along in these challenges. You know, you could go weeks without doing a challenge, and then, you know, this week, if it's something you want to do, then great. But we don't kick you out if you don't. So, just something fun to do. Yeah, y'all go Google the Gypsy Wife quilts. They're amazing. All right, I have a teenager who needs to wash a load of laundry before she goes to bed tonight. So I told her that when we're done with the live, I'd let her know so she can start her laundry for school tomorrow. So this has been so much fun. I think I really like the new layout. I think I could see the pictures much better. I like being able to focus on your work and really show that off. And I think it was easier to read your writing on the screen as well too. So, yay, Jan just found out what version her computer is. Don't thank me. I probably would have gotten y'all confused, but yeah, thank everybody who was telling me where to go. They helped me find it. The other day, I was having a hard time, but I eventually found it, but I couldn't remember how to get there on my own. Good night, Lisa. Y'all love the new layout. I think I do too. It's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to see you next Tuesday. In the meantime, I'll see you on our group page. It's been a lot of fun. Feel free to carry on the conversation after we're done with the live. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'd love to hear from you down in the comment section below. Make sure to check out the link to the Creative Crew in the description box if you want to join us. All right. I'm so glad everyone has joined me tonight. It's been a lot of fun talking to you. I hope you all have a great evening. We'll see you all really soon. Have fun creating. Have fun with your mug rug challenge. I'll be keeping my eyes out for it. Good night, y'all.